I'm Joe Lample. When I created Growing a Greener World, I had one goal: to tell stories of everyday people, innovators, entrepreneurs, forward-thinking leaders who are all, in ways both big and small, dedicated to organic gardening and farming, lightening our footprint, conserving vital resources, protecting natural habitats, making a tangible difference for us all. They're real, they're passionate, they're all around us. They're the game changers who are literally growing a greener world and inspiring the rest of us to do the same. Growing a Greener World, it's more than a movement, it's our mission. You know, over the years, we've had a lot of exciting times on set at Growing a Greener World, but I'm pretty sure today is going to take the cake on great days. Now, many of us have grown up watching Paul James and his show Gardening by the Yard on HGTV, and over those 13 years, we've come to know Paul pretty well. We've watched him go through 2 different gardens, we've watched his kids grow up, and we've learned a lot through his knowledge and his humor. And he's kind of like that gardener next door everybody wishes they had as a neighbor that they could just talk to over the fence. Well, over that time, Paul and I have become friends. And I've always thought how cool it would be for Paul to come to my garden to see it and just talk gardening. So you know what? Today is that day. Paul is right here, and I haven't let him in the garden yet because I want him to see it for the first time as you see it, and we take this in together. Does that sound good for you?
I'm so excited. Permission to come aboard.
Permission granted.
All
Please
right.
come on in.
This is an exciting moment for me.
For me, it's very exciting. So this is it, Paul. As you can tell, there's quite a few tomato plants in here.
Quite a few.
And I love those. Now, let's just address the elephant in the room, first of all.
Yeah.
I love my Sun Gold tomatoes, but look at my Sun Gold tomato. This one in particular, it fruited its little heart out, and now, look, no foliage. And yet, the interesting thing I find here is that you look at the other 3 plants in here, and they're relatively healthy.
Yes.
And this
very healthy.
this one, what do you think?
You know, it's weird to me. Tomatoes have for decades been America's #1 backyard crop.
Right.
But for me anyway, tomatoes are exceedingly difficult to grow.
Yes.
Because there's so many pathogens, most of them soil-borne.
Mm-hmm.
There are critters, and for me, the squirrels love them.
Yep.
So I still try every year, but you know, it's like the definition of insanity, you know, kind of thing. Because who doesn't love a homegrown tomato, right?
Right.
This, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a bizarre, it looks like a pathogen.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's, you know, well into the plant itself.
Yeah.
But I've never seen anything like it. At least you got fruit.
Well, you know, it's short-lived, but I have fruit. But the good news is I have another plant, another Sun Gold in the ground in a different bed, and it looks beautiful. So maybe that soil doesn't have the pathogen in it.
But I'll tell you a trick.
Mm-hmm.
What I have learned, I don't grow them in the ground anymore. I grow them in big containers.
Okay.
Because then I know I'm not dealing with those soil-borne pathogens.
Eliminate that.
So yeah, it takes care of that. Also, I don't have as many issues with blossom end rot. You know, I can maintain good soil moisture.
Yep.
I mulch them with rotten straw.
Right.
And so I've had a lot more success since I switched to growing in containers. Now, for you, what, 40, 50 containers? That might be a bit of a challenge, but you know, it's one solution for the backyard gardener.
Solutions for backyard gardeners. That's what Paul James, known to generations of fans as the Gardener Guy, has been doling out for decades. Recognizable for both his trademark bushy mustache and his ever-present sense of humor. Paul was responsible for the first gardening show on HGTV. Over the course of 13 years, he inspired millions to take up gardening and even inspired me to launch Growing a Greener World. So having him take a walk through my own yard where I could pick his brain one-on-one was a chance this fan just couldn't pass up. Okay, now do you grow squash?
Well, okay, why are we picking the problem plants?
Well, because you're here.
Well, I love squash. I absolutely love squash, but squash vine borers are a huge problem in my
Tell me about it.
And, you know, they are really nasty, and you can go out of town for a few days, come back, and you see the wilt and, you know, the effects of the little larva in there doing its thing.
Yep.
One good organic control that I've found is a tennis racket.
For the moth.
If you'll get out there and backhand or forehand works. That does a number on them pretty quickly. You know, beyond that, you slice the vine, you inject a little BT. But it's a struggle. And when I hear people, and squash bugs, that's a whole
nother ball game.
But when I hear people talk about the struggles that they have with particular vegetables, year after year after year, my advice generally is grow something else.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna constantly wage war against bugs and pathogens, you're taking the fun out of gardening.
Yeah, you are.
And you don't want to have to spray.
Yeah.
So, you know, go to the farmer's market for your squash.
And buy what you need.
And plant something else that you can have good success with. Those are nice. I love cukes. The Armenian cucumbers I love to grow.
Oh, yeah.
And my favorite now are the little Persian cucumbers.
Right. Yeah, the little guys.
Yeah. They're just delightful.
I haven't tried them yet.
They're wonderful.
All right. Something else to add to my list.
Beans?
Yeah, beans, and then I've added cosmos in here to attract some of the pollinators, and it looks like I'm attracting more Japanese beetles than anything else. But my pest control method of choice is just a cup of soapy water in the morning, or hands picking, and knocking them off. The problem is if I come out with that beverage in the morning, like the coffee, and the soapy water in the other, I gotta make sure I knock it into the right cup, because it's happened the wrong way. How are the beans?
Great. What is that, Kentucky Wonder?
Yeah, it is. I want one. I haven't tried them yet.
Good crunch.
Paul, I want to ask you about your pest control methods.
Okay.
Do you have pest issues? And if so, what do you do, or how do you deal with that issue?
40 years worth of gardening organically. Well, the biggest mistake people make is they see one Mexican bean beetle and they bust out a broad spectrum pesticide.
Yes.
And they spray everything. So they kill the pests, but they also kill all the beneficials.
Indeed.
And nature throws us this weird curve because the reproductive rate of pests is typically much higher than it is of beneficials. So it takes a long time for those beneficials to get back in the garden.
Right.
When you overreact like that, you're upsetting the balance that was there.
Yeah.
So my advice is tolerate a little bit, inspect the plants regularly, and yes, you know, you're likely to see some damage. Okay, deal with that, but just that.
Yes.
So whether it's BT for caterpillars, or it's, you know, if things got really out of hand and you might need something like neem, fine. But just don't go spraying everything in sight.
Exactly, because I always like to tell people, even pests have sort of a preferred palate of what they like to eat. It's not like going through a buffet and collecting everything on the line.
Right.
You pick what you like, right? So there's no need to go spray everything else.
No.
Nor should we.
No, not at all. In fact, you know, plants can succumb to, say, up to 40% foliage damage and still produce.
Yeah. You know, Paul, disease always seems to be one of those challenges that gardeners face, and I'm a big proponent of providing that light and that air circulation, and yet some plants are more susceptible to it than others, and cucumbers are certainly one of those examples. And then, as you mentioned, tomatoes, one of the most challenging things you can grow. But what are some of the methods that you use for disease control as an organic gardener?
For years, we've relied on copper-based fungicides, sulfur-based fungicides, but I've come across one in recent years that I think is fabulous.
Okay.
It's called Serenade, and it is a Bacillus subtilis.
A biological control.
Yeah, so just like we have BT,
right.
Bacillus thuringiensis, well, this is BS. and if anybody knows about BS, it's me. But it's a wonderful product, covers a broad range of fungal diseases, so I think it's fantastic.
Well, I'm definitely going to be checking that out. The other thing that I find very important is to create that barrier at the soil level and use a good mulch.
And you are using what is, hands down, my favorite, good old leaf mold.
It's the best, right?
There's nothing better.
Well then, if you like that, you would appreciate my stash of leaf mulch.
I'd love to see your stash.
Let's go see it. My pride and joy, my leaf corral.
Yeah, this is sexy to me. So we have a rule at my house.
Yeah?
No leaf ever leaves the property.
Love that.
Every kind of leaf, thick, leathery magnolia leaves, oak leaves, sweet gum, and sweet gum balls as well.
Oh, wow.
So I have a gizmo that shreds them. Then I pile them up. I let them rot a little bit. and then use them as top dressing everywhere, not just in the vegetable garden, ornamental beds everywhere.
So maybe grind them down in the fall and use them in the spring?
Exactly.
Well, I try to do that too, and I do a pretty good job, but sometimes it's the whole leaves. It may take another season before I can use them, but better to have them.
This is how nature fertilizes itself, right?
Exactly. Another lesson from Mother Nature for sure.
Well, my love of gardening goes all the way back to my childhood. My maternal grandparents had a 100-acre farm in Arkansas, dirt poor, no indoor plumbing, no air conditioning. And they eked out a meager living by what they were able to produce on the farm. The soil was pretty good, and there was one horse that provided all the power they needed to plow and harvest and all that. So I spent several summers there, and that's, I mean, forgive me, but those are my roots in the world of gardening. My dad always had a big suburban backyard garden, so I was always around it. The thought of actually doing a television show never occurred to me till much later in life. My wife and I bought our first home in 1979, and I immediately set out to dig up a fresh vegetable garden. So I owned a publishing company for like 15 years, and there was a guy that worked for me who was a writer and helped with sales, and his wife was an anchor for the CBS affiliate in Tulsa. So through him, she was aware of my passion for gardening. And she called me one day and said, would you be interested in doing a package? And I said, what's a package? I had no idea what that meant. And it meant, you know, a little 2.5-minute segment on the news. So I started doing it locally, never scripted. And then they asked for one for the noon show, then they asked for one for the 5, and it snowballed. And then I read an article about Scripps Howard launching this gardening channel. And I thought, well, wait a minute, if it plays well locally, then why wouldn't it play well nationally? So I called them and I said, would you be interested in talking to me? And they said, well, if you'll fly out on your nickel, yeah, we'll give you a meeting. So I flew out, we had the meeting, it was great. There were 6 employees at the time. And, you know, I figured it was gonna be one of those don't call us, we'll call you meetings. And I'm sitting right there and they said, we'll take 26 episodes. So I'm flying back home. I have no idea what I'm going to do next. I mean, I'd never done anything more than 2.5 minutes, and I certainly hadn't been involved as a producer in the show and all that. So I started making phone calls. I mean, I had to do a half-hour show, 26 of them. Yeah, to this day, I have so many unforgettable memories of doing the show. It was a blast. I was always a crew guy. And so one of the most gratifying things for me was having an opportunity to work with such professional people who work so hard and such long hours. You know, I mean, talent gets to go inside in the air conditioning and between shots. They're out there all day long busting their chops, and you establish friendships with these people. I mean, they watched my kids grow up. They, you know, they became dear friends, and I'm still in touch with some of them to this day.
For 13 seasons, Paul was a staple of the network. And then one day, the show was suddenly over.
The show came to an end. It was a combination of changes at the corporate level, changes in the direction of the network, and they decided that gardening simply wasn't maybe as sexy a topic as, you know, the home fixer-upper shows and things like that. And so it came to an end. It was a fairly abrupt end. I actually thought I was going to last a little longer. To this day, I don't understand why there aren't more gardening shows on television. You know, it's still an industry where collectively people spend like $40 billion a year. And there was a point in time where networks all wanted to skew younger. Okay, well, I'm not getting any younger. So I didn't fit that. And then there was a point where they were like, well, we need to attract more male viewers. And I'm like, well, how do I do that? Use more power tools? You know, how do you do that? At some point I did sort of reach a point where I thought maybe I've said all there is to say.
So the gardening guy started spending more time doing other things. But a few years ago, once his 3 kids had grown up and moved out, he and his wife Carrie downsized to a smaller house with a much smaller yard that Paul couldn't even bring himself to do anything with. But those seeds of Paul's gardening passion were still viable. They had just gone dormant for a little while.
I spent a year trying to figure out what to do. And one night, Carrie says, why don't you go back to your roots? And I said, well, what does that mean? She said, why not a vegetable garden? So I took the space, expanded it, and created this really nice raised bed garden. And I grow primarily what I like. I can't imagine life without potatoes. It's my favorite food in the whole world. So I've had 65 hills of potatoes this year. I've harvested some. I've got more to harvest when I get home. Garlic, onions, squash, tomatoes, okra, lots of herbs, peanuts. How about that? I'm not a Georgia boy, but I grow peanuts. All kinds of stuff, blueberries. There's just so much. And during the spring season, we're growing lots and lots of greens. We love salads. So I'll have 150 heads of lettuce out there at any point in time. Lots of collard greens, mustard greens, spinach. I grow so much stuff. And, you know, I have reached a point in life where I pretty much just grow what I know we're going to eat. It's a radical departure from what I had before because it's much smaller. We left the big house. But it's kind of nice in the sense that, as you well know, when you have an acreage, you can spend a solid 8-hour day working. Then you turn around at the end of the day and go, well, what did I get done?
Yeah.
Because it's so overwhelming.
Yeah.
So now I've got probably a 1/3 acre, I don't really know. But if I spend 8 hours, and these days only 6 is pretty much my limit, then I can turn around and I can, you know, see the results of my labor.
Nice.
And so that's really cool. But it's a mix. I mean, I'm a conifer geek, so I have a lot of conifers, some rare and unusual stuff, and a lot of vegetables. I grow a lot of vegetables still.
No surprise.
Yeah, I mean, it's so awesome. I mean, you know my love of potatoes.
Yeah.
So to me, to go out at 4 in the afternoon and dig up a couple of hills of taters and go inside and steam them and drench them with butter and chives, and you get that earthy,
Yeah.
you know, store-bought potatoes, they're usually been in storage for a long time, and
Yeah.
they don't have that earthy essence.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's, you know, it's still hugely gratifying.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, all these years, and I still, you know, there's just incredible joy of seeing this.
Yeah.
I was just talking to my wife before we started this piece, and I said, are the beans germinating? Have you seen any okra come up? Because she watered for me yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's so miraculous.
Yeah, it is. Paul, you're an organic gardener, right?
All my life,
Yeah.
yes.
So tell me why that is.
You know, my background's in chemistry. And I'll never forget one time I was in my lab, and at one end of the hall, this is at the university, at one end of the hall there were guys developing pesticides that they knew by virtue of the molecular structure, they knew that they were potential carcinogens. It was pretty clear. But at the other end were some biochemists who were developing cures for cancer, and it was like, this doesn't really make any sense. I don't, you know, it's nature's way, and I've taken so many walks and hikes, and you know, you observe how nature works, and so I replicate in the garden. Also, you know, when you have dogs and later in life had kids, and, you know, you don't want them hanging around in a chemical dumping ground.
Right.
But first and foremost, I suppose I do it because I know it works.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't need all those extra things, do you?
No. Joe, I don't know if you planned on talking about turf today, but your lawn looks remarkably like mine.
I don't know if I'll take that as a compliment or not. I think what you're telling me is I have a low maintenance lawn like yours, maybe?
Yes, yes.
Well, I don't water it. I feed it about twice a year with an organic fertilizer, and I cut it when it needs it. But I am not obsessed with killing out the weeds. In fact, I like the clover in here for all the obvious reasons.
Yeah, I love clover.
So I've got the bees, and I see the bees in here all the time, but I feel good about knowing that this whole environment, including the lawn, is just kind of a habitat for whatever wants to come here.
Yeah, I think of mine as a pasture, not a lawn. And there's so much diversity. You know, I tolerate a good many weeds.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are certain mechanical approaches. You know, I cut high.
Yeah.
That tends to reduce the weed population
Yeah.
somewhat. I use a mulching mower. I rarely ever fertilize. I just use the mulching mower. But the clover's my favorite thing of all, and the bees, you know, seeing them hanging out, it's just, I love it.
You were telling me about one of your neighbors who spends a lot of money putting it back into his grass to make it look pristine, and yet he seems to really gravitate towards your lawn.
You know, he's got one of those picture-perfect, carefully coiffed lawns.
Mm-hmm.
And it's zoysia.
Yep.
And it looks great, but he loves my lawn. And what I figured out was that he likes my lawn because of the clover reminds him of his childhood when he used to hunt for four-leaf clovers,
Yeah.
and his sister would make bracelets out of the flowers.
Yeah.
So, and that got me to thinking about why a lot of people garden. They garden to live a memory.
Yeah.
It's a lot of why I garden. I'm living the memory of my grandfather's farm, my dad's backyard garden. You know, I mean, it's a powerful motivator.
So Paul, you've been at gardening a very long time. People have been following your advice for decades, literally.
Thanks for rubbing that in.
And you've been giving it. But what would you do to summarize it in one thing? What would you tell people if there was one way to wrap up some gardening advice from Paul James?
Well, you know, I'm not really known for making profound statements, but it hit me one day. I encapsulated it this way. The most important time you can spend in the garden is the time spent not gardening. Okay?
Yeah.
So you don't have to be working the whole time you're out there. You don't have to be pruning. You don't have to be doing anything but observing all there is to take in. Do it in the morning. Do it in the heat of the day. Do it especially at night when things really change. And that puts you in touch with the garden in a way that, you know, actively gardening never will. So yeah, those are my words of wisdom.
I am taking that to heart. And the challenge for me will be to actually get out there without thinking about gardening and just enjoy it. I mean, I enjoy it, but I'm a doer. But I love that advice.
Good for you.
Take you up on it.
And let me tell you, this has been one of the great thrills of my career. To be out here in your garden, in your element, and to see what you've done. You know, you're not that much younger than me, but I'm proud of you, boy.
It's a big honor for you to say that, you know, because I've been following you for a long time, and, you know, who would have known that someday you'd be in my garden right here.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
I don't want to tell you what to do, but you should harvest a little earlier. That's like a weapon.
I am well aware of that. I've been a little busy lately, if you haven't noticed.
Okay, all right.
All right. Well, I hope all of you have enjoyed watching this show as much as I've enjoyed spending time with Paul in my garden. But if you'd like to watch the show again or check out any of the links, they're on our website. The website address, that's the same as our show name. It's growingagreenerworld.com. I'm Joe Lample.
And I'm Paul James, the gardener guy.
And I'll see you back here next time on more Growing a Greener World.
I mean, it might taste okay, but you're going to have to cook it a while.
I can do that. Let's go do that.
Yeah, let's eat.
Looks good.
Hello, and welcome to two gray-haired white guys in the garden.
Thanks for that. I thought it was going to be, I'm Paul James, the gardener guy. Nope, two gray-haired white guys.
You can put that in somewhere.
All right, we'll do it.